Ladies and gentlemen, apes and ape bets, welcome back to the second trading day of 2023. AMC stock is up over 4% at the time of recording this video, but we still have our major catalyst coming at 2 p.m., which is the FOMC minutes. And depending on what these minutes say about the last Fed meeting, things could get a little bit crazy in the markets, and typically we do see big reactions at 2 p.m. when this report actually does come out. So I don't think this time is going to be any different, and I do expect a big move up or down in this market environment. I think investors are starting to expect the Fed to slow down, right? That's number one, and that's pretty much a given. The Fed is going to do that. But at the same time, the markets are expecting a rate cut by June. So if those expectations, are wrong from the markets and the Fed gives us something different, potentially outlining, consistent rate hikes to come, but at a smaller pace, that could mean a lot more downside for the markets, because that ultimately means a greater chance of seeing a recession, guys. So we're going to get into everything you need to know about AMC, about the broad markets today. We're going to dive into all of it. So let's get to it. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. So getting straight into it, guys. First things first, you did have some economic data about the labor market today. The labor market does and is continuing to soften, which is a very good thing. And the headlines are not even hitting CNBC as some of the major headlines on the day. But these data points were partly the reason why the markets are up today. If we take a look at exactly what those data points were, let's go ahead and take a look. It was the ISM manufacturing PMI. Came out basically right on expectations, and the JOLTS job openings as well. Let's go ahead and refresh this to see exactly the number that we are getting. We got to go to Wednesday. And JOLTS job openings, 10.5 million was the previous number, and you're at 10.45 million. So a little bit better. Still pretty high though, right? So there you have that information. FOMC minutes, that's going to be at 2 p.m. right here. Expected to be a major volatility catalyst as highlighted in red, and they always are. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar what the FOMC minutes is, it's essentially a transcript of the last Fed meeting. So you're going to get reasonings why the Fed is raising rates, still, why they're not pausing, why they want to go to 5% or 5.1%, 5.2% by the end of 2023 and to stay there the entire year. You're going to kind of know why they are doing what they're doing a little bit more in detail. So depending on if the markets like those details or not, that's the big question. And from my perspective here, considering the markets are expecting a rate cut in June, it's going to be pretty hard to get a multi-day bullish reaction from this. Now, it's always possible today we could see a really big close. We could see a 2-3% close if the FOMC minutes sound bullish. If the Fed wants the markets to go up, I highly doubt that is the case, and I do think the Fed wants to throw something in there that could upset the markets, could make the markets go down, because that makes their job of fighting inflation that much easier, right? When the markets go down, people don't want to spend as much money. And a clear example of that is 2022. You're starting to see demand destruction, a lot of it probably due to 401ks and IRAs that are just getting destroyed, right? So that is that for economic data as far as today. For tomorrow, you are going to have the balance of trade for November coming out at 8:30 in the morning, and that's pretty much it until Friday. We have more major data points, and you're going to get non-farm payrolls for December at 8:30 in the morning, and the unemployment rate at 8:30 in the morning, as well as ISM non-manufacturing PMI coming out at 10 o'clock in the morning as well. Now let's get into some of the data behind AMC stock here on the day. So if we take a look at the live short interest of free float, that is sitting at 21.34%, down about 0.29% here on the day. The amount of shares currently sold short sits at 110 million. Cost to borrow numbers live from Interactive Brokers has us at about 81.12%. For a vast majority of the day, we have been at 94.4%. So numbers coming down just a little bit, but in the grand scope of things, they're still very high, and AMC is up 5.34% at the time of recording this video. We have 19 minutes left until the FOMC meeting, and that is really going to change the course for the markets, either, you know, super bearish or potentially even super bullish. So, or bearish or bullish, it could go either way here. Now, cost to borrow average sitting at 139%, cost to borrow max at 268.07%, and cost to borrow minimum at 45.77%. These numbers extremely high, extremely high. Now, this is interesting, I think, on the day. 13 orders totaling $25 million, and these are for options with a positive order value of 1%, but yet the stock is still up 5%. So I do think some of these large put orders, especially these puts that are super far in the money, like these $15 puts, it might be some hedge funds trying to actually report that they are covering on their short positions. I've talked about this sometime a couple times in the past, especially over the last couple of weeks. We've seen some of these huge put options that are super far in the money. It only makes sense because, you know, there's not much meat left on the bone for AMC shares, right? You're sitting at $4 per share. So to get a 25% drop from here, you're going down to $3 per share. That is not as likely, I think, than the stock rallying 25% to the upside, going to $5 per share. Considering how much carnage and pain we have seen in AMC stock so far, the only logical explanation of some of these large put positions that are, you know, $15 puts, like, come on now, you're paying $1,100 a piece for these options. It's probably shorts trying to make it look like they're covering on short positions, and at the same time they don't have to cover on their short positions when they do buy these puts. And if the stock does continue to go down, well, they're going to make money on their puts, they're going to make money on their short position after all. So it's a very directionally bearish bet that some of these hedge funds are putting on AMC, and that's my personal opinion. You are seeing the short interest look like it is coming down a little bit here today by about 328,000. So potentially those puts playing a role to cover up some of that shorting, right? So there is that information. If we take a look at the Stock O Tracker data, we can see for this Friday about 20,000 calls that are in the money and 60,000 calls that are out of the money. For puts in the money, 16,000. For puts that are out of the money, sitting at about 44,000. So all in all, you know, more calls than puts, but what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis, hedge funds, they're really going short on AMC stock. They're really going out of their way to buy those put positions. Now, let's take a look at the technical analysis for AMC stock, and as you guys can see, we're clearly in a bottoming process. The stock has been trading sideways, you know, up or down about 20 cents here for the last, call it 4 or 5 trading days now, even 6 trading days now. You've been in this bottoming formation, and I think depending on what the FOMC minutes do to the markets, whether it's this bullish or bearish reaction coming here in about 15 minutes time, if it's a bullish reaction, the bottom most likely in for AMC. If it's a bearish reaction, well, everything's going to get taken down, and it's not going to matter, you know, what stock's doing good or bad. This would likely be a broad market sell-off, and I wouldn't expect AMC, you know, to be any different than the broad markets. Now, you are continuing to see very low volume on the stock as well, so at this point, I think we're just waiting for a positive news catalyst. We're waiting for something to be positive to really turn around the stock, to get volume back into the stock, and to get people excited about AMC again. And I think they will, guys. it's only the first 2 trading days of 2023, and we're not off to a bad start at all, like I said, in this bottoming formation. And I think if the FOMC minutes are bullish, give us a bullish reaction in the markets, the AMC could well outperform the markets as well, especially considering the short interest is so high. And you do still have some option activity. You do still have more calls that are on the option expiration for this Friday than you do for puts, guys. So that is pretty much going to be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.